So welcome to Scrapbook Live. I'm Megan Jacks. Today is Friday, May 2nd. It's hard to believe we're already in May. But I have a fun layout to put together. It is going to be my April 2025 monthly page. I am trying to do monthly pages this year. Not really any kind of calendar component to them because all you really would see is the rinse and repeat of my weeks. Between lacrosse, baseball, the fun scrapbooking stuff I get to do, but it's not a lot of excitement in there. But just highlight photos is kind of fun to be able to do, and that's the goal with these monthly pages. But I chose a layout from the Creative Memories blog. This is going clear back into May of 2020 and the NSD virtual crop. This weekend is National Scrapbook Day, the official National Scrapbook Day, which is the first Saturday of May. So Creative Memories in their virtual crop group this weekend is going to have all sorts of fun going on there. So if you're not a member of that group, please be sure to check that out. They had a very beautiful kind of a gardening theme crop or kit this year. So hopefully you've had a chance to get that and to put that together. Tessa and I did do a free project workshop to put everything that Creative Memories had as part of their customer bundle together. So you can find that on the Megan and Tessa YouTube channel. But let's dive into this project. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to my overhead camera and we will show you what we've got or what I've got in store for you today. All right. So this layout is a very simple, but so easy to turn this into a two-page layout. It's simple, but it's got a lot of space for photos in there. You can see they've got 6 spots for photos. So I will ultimately have about 12 photos on there. It depends on if I do take one that's going to be for a journal box, but it's easy to expand into 2 pages. And remember, if you need to mix it up, you can rotate it to the right or left. You can make what they have square, be vertical or horizontal. So just make it kind of work for you. There were no measurements or anything. This is back in 2020 when Creative Memories was not giving us the measurements on the sketches for the virtual crops, and there was no written directions. So I've added some written directions that will allow you to pretty much make this exactly as you see it. You know, with sketches, you can go wild doing all sorts of different things. There is a link to, if you want to use a QR code that will take you to the blog post. I have the date as well. So if you go to the blog and you just want to look for the date of the post, you would find it. This is actually sketch number 4. So lots of ways, but let's go ahead and get started. I do have square photos. I have a bunch of square photos that are just snapshots from throughout the month. And the big thing, this whole sketch reminded me of the square link chain border punch, the border maker measurements, or this one. See, look, it looks like, just kind of got those bars. It has those squares in the middle of it. So I thought I'm going to use this square link chain BMC. And it's great because I've actually already used square link BMC in one of my previous pages that will go as my monthly pages for this year. So it's kind of nice. I like when I do things to kind of repeat some of the same pieces, the same punches throughout the album. It's just kind of a nice sense of continuity. So that can work out really well. And I thought, as I mentioned in my blog post, I'm going to be using Ancient Key. And I really thought I would also be using cyclic circles, but I'm going to tell you it didn't do what I wanted to do. So I thought I could use the center of cyclic circles here in the middle, but it was too big. So I will be using the hole punch to get this. And this is where we're headed. This is kind of the big showcase piece of this layout. The layout itself is very simple, but I'm going to show you how you can work Square Link Chain BMC along with Ancient Key BMC. Ancient Key is probably one of my favorites. It's so fun. I really like the square, how it just pulls everything together, and they pair together really, really well. So I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to actually be weaving the Square Link chain into Ancient Keys. And I've got a tip that's going to make that easy to do because Ancient Key has a lot going on there and all those little pieces are easy to catch. I'm going to show you how you can weave more delicate, detailed chains into some of these other the ones you can weave them into. So this technique that I'm going to show you should work if you want to weave things like square chain or any other of our chain punches, or even a chain laser cut border if we have narrow ones enough that we'll weave into some of our BMCs. All right, so I'm going to dive right into it. And this part, I'm going to admit, there's no directions for. So if you want to take some notes, you can. I'm going to try to go back into the blog post and add them. I probably will not update the handout, but there will be measurements on the blog a little bit later. And of course, you'll have this video that you can write down the measurements and give this border a whirl and see what you think of it. So as I mentioned, I am using the Noteworthy collection. I have some craft, I think it's medium craft cardstock here. That's going to be my base page. You can kind of see here, I was kind of playing with one of the pages. This is the direction we're headed. I've got the really beautiful borders, top and bottom. I've got some pieces in here. And so we're just going to kind of give this a whirl. This is kind of where we're headed. All right. So I needed to use some brown to be able to do my ancient key. I'm going to punch ancient key in the brown. The flip side has this medium blue that's really pretty. I'm actually going to just flip the paper over and punch the square link out of this side. I am going to use this reddish rusty color. You can tell I punched out a bunch of the holes, the little circles that I need, but I'm using the reverse side, this minty polka dot. Kind of pops in there to just give a little bit, help some of the details of this border stand out. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I've got a few other little pieces here that I'll use in the rest when I get into actually making the layout itself, but I'm going to focus on making this border. So I'm going to start off first with Ancient Key. I'm not sure how many of you have Ancient Key, but I love this. It came out, it's been out for a while. I think it's still available. I'm not 100% sure. I should have looked to confirm, but it is a beautiful one and it works really nicely with a lot of different things. So I'm going to go ahead and punch that. Actually, I need to flip this over. I want it to punch on the brown side. Usually whatever side you want facing up when you're punching is the side you want up when you're punching with the Border Maker system or with any of the punches. It just gives it a little bit of a cleaner cut. And Ancient Key has a lot of little tidbits in here, so we'll see. Hopefully I can get this to do what I want it to do. Sharon's telling me that it's still available. Thank you so much for checking on that. All right, so I've punched. Now, Ancient Key is a knockout style border, meaning it left my outside edge nice and just the original way it was. If you want to have a decorative edge on the outside, you can. I could have cut this with one of my decorative blades on the trimmer and then punched it, and it would have left that nice outside edge. And then I could use the same blade on the opposite edge to cut it away if I want it to be chain style. I do want it to be chain style. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my trimmer and I'm going to trim this. Now, Ancient Key, it's about roughly 1 1/8 inch. It's kind of sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge to kind of get it, but 1 1/8 of an inch should center it nicely within the two kind of edges there. So I would go with 1 1/8. That's what I'm going to go ahead and use, 1 1/8. So there you can see I made it to be a chain border. Now, I need to use my square link BMC, and I'm going to go ahead and punch the other reverse side. I'm going to get kind of a medium blue color, and this is all out of Noteworthy. I believe this is a Noteworthy a tonal paper. Super pretty. And looks like I'm gonna be able to sneak that in there. Remember that if your paper's a little short and you can't get it in there, use some Post-it notes, and that'll allow you to hold smaller strips of paper in place so that you can get the maximum number of punches or borders out of each piece of paper. So there we go. I have another chain border. Like I could still get one more out of this. I would just need to use those Post-it notes to help hold it into place in the paper tray of the Border Maker system. All right, now my goal was to weave these together because what I realized is when I put this on here and you kind of like move it side to side, you can see that it has, it lines up really nicely. Now it does offset just a little bit, and what I'll do is I'd be able to cut the overhang at one end and move it to the other. If you don't want to do the weaving that I'm going to do, you could just lay this over the top and it would be a nice look too. I do see Maggie asking like what other BMCs that might work well for this. Honestly, for this particular thing, square link is going to probably get the best effect. I didn't really play around with it too much with other ones. You just kind of have to experiment. What you might find out is you just want to use the ancient key by itself, and you could probably just put a little circle. If you have the hole punch, you want to put a little circle here. That would probably work, or you could just back this and have a really nice looking too. I mean, ancient key is just so pretty. So weaving square link into ancient key is like the worst nightmare in the world, because look at all these little bits of ancient key that just everything gets caught up, right? It's not going to work. So what I realized I could do is I could take and create little, like almost like a little folder that I'm going to put my square link into, and I'm going to use 2 strips of paper. I'm going to sandwich my square link in between, and then I'm going to weave this through, and I'll pull out the cardstock pieces here. Cardstock is easier to weave into paper because when you're trying to weave designer paper, 2 pieces of designer paper together, designer paper just isn't super rigid, so it can be a little frustrating, even if I wasn't using something detailed like ancient key. But this is going to allow me to get square link in there and get it all sandwiched. And you do want to sandwich them between 2 pieces. The reason is because even if I just done one, I was having issues with it still catching. So sandwiching in there is going to make sure that nothing can catch. I've got a smooth top and a smooth reverse. So to do this though, I am going to use a little bit of repo adhesive at one end, just a little bit. I want to make sure my square link stays attached to my basically my feeder strips. These feeder strips, this one is about 5/8 of an inch wide. You just need to make sure it's going to weave into whatever width of paper or of your design. So if you could do this same technique, doing something with, like this is candy stripe, you could do candy stripe, or you could do picket fence. You just need to make sure whatever size your feeder strips are going to be wide enough to fit through there. So I've got a little bit of adhesive. I just put a tiny bit of repo adhesive. I'm not sure you're gonna be able to see it. My camera won't focus, but right here at the very tip. Yeah, there it is. See, just a tiny bit right there. I'm gonna lay it on my feeder strip. And I'm just making sure that it's gonna line up nice down the center. There's no additional adhesive here. I don't want it to be attached. I need to put a little pressure at the top to get it to stick. But I really don't want it to be attached anywhere else. So it's just attached at the top. That's all I care about. This next piece that I'm going to put on top, I'm using no adhesive. No adhesive. Michelle is asking, what about using 1 piece of paper folded over instead of 2 pieces? You definitely could do that. I started off with 1 piece because that's what I thought would work, and then I found out I needed to sandwich it, so you could try folding it. Otherwise, I would probably just go with the 2 pieces of the cardstock. Actually, I take that back. I want you to use 2 pieces. And the reason is it's going to be easier to remove the pieces individually than it is probably the folded piece. That's my guess. When I show you how to remove the paper, you'll see why 2 pieces might be better than 1 folded, but you are welcome to give it a whirl and see if you can make that folded piece work. All right, so I've got it sandwiched together, and now it's time to start weaving into the piece. Ancient key probably is the most nitpicky of the weaving options just because it's got all those little pieces. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start weaving. And for a while, I'm able to sit there and just kind of push it through. And then it kind of gets to the point where I need to start pulling it. And that's just because you can only push paper so far before you have to start pulling it. It just doesn't want to cooperate, I think. I don't know. I'm going to say that. And then this time it's going to let me push it just as much as I want. Nope, I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces in, and then I'm really gonna have to start pulling it. And you just kind of work from back to front, or just figure out the method that works best for you. For me, it was easier kind of working on the back side because I can see all these little pieces. That's really what I'm trying to avoid having issues with. I don't want those to get bent and out of sort or rip. I want to make sure they stay nice and crisp because they're definitely an intricate part of the design. And I'm just working over and under. You do want to make sure when you put this in, like I needed to make sure when I pull my paper out, the blue is going to be facing up. So you'll see the brown and the blue. You want to make sure you've got the color up that you have. So yeah, I got that piece there. Yeah, you're gonna have to keep an eye on your ends of things. Almost to the end. So yeah, putting 4 of these borders together was kind of an interesting little task yesterday, but I was very happy. I mean, it's very cute, very pretty. All right. So I've got everything woven in there. You can kind of see. I mean, if you think about it, look, that's almost like film strip. If you're needing a film strip option, just put a solid piece through the ancient key, kind of gives you that film strip look. Imagine if you then would come along with some dots. You could just use a pen and do like some dots to mimic that. I kind of wish they'd bring back film strip, but hey, here's an option if you want to mimic it. Okay, so now it's time to remove the yellow strips here, my feeder strips. So what I need to do is I need to find the end where my ancient key is still attached. This is where I put the adhesive. So this piece here is firmly attached. And I'm just gonna work in my multi-purpose tool and loosen that up, and just carefully. It's repo adhesive, it should release. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hold on to 3 pieces here. I'm holding on to my brown ancient key border, one of my feeder strips, and my border that I want to stay in there, that square link. This feeder strip that's closest to this side is what I'm gonna remove. So then I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna pull it out. There we go. All right, so now I need to remove the other one. I'm still holding on. The big thing here, you've got to hold on to ancient key and you've got to hold on to the square link, hold on to the pieces that you want to stay behind. Now I can grab that other sheet and I can pull it. The one thing I will tell you here though, I've learned my lesson. Remember I talked about that their square link is offset from ancient key? I have to adjust them a little bit. And what I need is I need square link to come down by about a half a space. And it's just the spacing, and it's because of their shape. What I need is right here. I need that square piece to be in the middle of like the little arm dudes. So instead of being over here, I need it over here. And I've just got to make sure that happens before I pull out my feeder piece, because otherwise it's just kind of a mess to shift everything. Once I get that, then I just I hold on to what I want to hold on to, and I'm going to pull my feeder strip out. And now I've got a few little, I've got to make some little adjustments, but it's easy for me just to kind of shift things around and get where I want it to be. So there we go. That's lined up pretty good. I'm looking to see that those squares are nice and centered. You can see those little arms that kind of frame out that square of square length. Now what I need to do is I want to back this. If you have a piece of paper, you could just like smack this right down on there, right? You could just put it right down. You are good to go. I say that and I can't get it to cooperate. You'd be good to go to add that to whatever border. I am going to cut a 1-inch piece of this mint polka dot, and that's going to actually be the backing to my border. You can see in here, I gave it that mint backing. So when I do this, when I add the backing piece, I'm going to flip my border over. I'm going to try to get it, actually before I flip it over, I'm going to try to line up my squares where I want them. Flip it over carefully. I'm going to double check that it looks like everything is pretty good, and I'm going to apply some repo adhesive on the back side. Now what I'm going to do is come in here, and I need to have my mint side being face down. And I'm going to go ahead and apply the backing bit. And then here I'm going to come to the front, and I'm going to try to do little adjustments. I should be able to have little adjustments to kind of slide things in place a little bit. Looks good. The only thing is I'm short over here. Remember I told you had to I'm going to have to cut this piece off. Grab my scissors. I'm going to cut off this end. Flip my border around. I'm going to apply a little bit of adhesive here at that end. There we go, come into focus. Some adhesive there. And I'll be able to put that piece I cut off. I'm going to put it on here. Get it matched up. Pull this up a little bit to get that. There we go. Flip it under. Good to go. In these corners, what I found worked really well is the precision point adhesive pen, and I just put little dots. I'm going to use the precision point adhesive pen also to put on my square or my little circles, my hole punch circles. Tip when using the precision point adhesive pen, I'm actually going to put little dots of adhesive in every one of my little squares. I'm just going to, I don't need a lot. Remember, I'm just using a hole punch, so it's like a 1/4 inch circle. I'm just putting a little bit, a little dot. I'll show you here in a second. I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see. Just a little dot. See those little dots? They're going to dry, and they're going to dry clear. I want them to dry. Even the little dots I put in there, I want those to dry. When the precision point adhesive pen dries, it will dry clear, and then it's tacky, meaning that you can then adhere stuff to it with you can press things together, and that adhesive isn't going to run out. If I were to put my little circles on right now, that adhesive is just kind of going to be smooshed out from underneath the circles. And I don't want that, it makes a mess. But if you let this dry, it will become tacky, it'll be clear, then you know it's dry, and then you can put your dots on with no problem at all. All right, so now I need to go ahead and I need my lifter stick, needed that to come over here because I'm gonna need that after I use my hole punch. I'm gonna punch a bunch of little holes. I need 12 of them is what I need. So I'm gonna use my hole punch. I have found with my hole punch, I need to punch firmly. It sticks just a little bit, but I'm getting the hang of it. Of course, it's going to be completely not cooperative on camera. Probably need to get a little bit of that 3-in-1 dry lube and just make it work. The nice thing about it, it's capturing all my punches into the little tray of the hole punch. That one did not go well because I didn't have it in the right spot. There we go. So Rosalie, yes, you will love you're going to love the precision point adhesive pen. See, now it works, the hole punch. I don't know. It's temperament. It's like a teenager sometimes, my hole punch. You will love the precision point adhesive pen once you learn that the trick about letting it dry. It makes a world of difference. If you use it on like tiny little delicate things, let it dry. Just let it dry. Okay, now I'm going to open this up. And there's all my little dots. Right down here on my table is my little dots. Now it is time to get them added to my paper here. So I'm going to be using my lifter stick, put them on there, and then I can just push them into place. My adhesive or the adhesive there is dry enough now that it's going to stick. It goes so quick. I use the lifter stick, drop them into place, and then I just put my finger in there, flip them over. I really do like the lifter stick. It makes working with those little things like letters, these tiny little circles. I couldn't imagine having to do this without something like the lifter stick. Such a great little tool. Just a reminder, if your lifter stick gets dirty, like it's gonna pick up little bits. Like I have had the joy of I have a cat, and so it somehow manages to find every little bit of stray hair, and you can see it's starting to get a little dirty. Little bit of damp water, and it'll clean it right off. It'll dry and it'll pick up its tackiness again. It's just a little tacky, just enough to kind of give everything a lift. It's not gonna lift super heavy stuff, but it is good for more delicate things. There we go. Okay, border is made. I've got the little dots in place. I've got my squares in place. Everything's all set to go. Now let's actually dive into the layout itself. All right. So I'll show you what I got going. I printed off square photos. Square photos, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. I feel like square photos, I have to actually I should actually take them as squares just because I feel like I can maybe frame things differently in my camera if I actually know ahead of time that I want it to be a square, right? It's kind of like when you do stuff with Instagram that you know ahead of time it needs to be a square format and you just take it in that square format on your camera. But I was working with all sorts of different things. So it was a little interesting making sure I could find options that would look good in the squares. But I did, I managed to do it. I also needed to make sure these photos were small. The sketch, if you don't want to mat things, you use a 3.5-inch square. I wanted to mat the photos. So I cut mats to 3.5-inch square. And then it was kind of like, well, now what am I gonna do? So I tried doing a 3.25-inch square and to see if that was gonna work, but I really thought I was gonna use this pretty paper and I was gonna use it with just 1/8 of an inch mat, and that just didn't work for me. So you can see here, it's just like 1/8 of an inch is just way too narrow. That's a little bit smaller than 1/8 of an inch, but it just wasn't gonna work. So I decided to cut my papers or my pieces down. They're actually 3 1/8 inch square. I felt that that size worked good with the 3.5-inch border. But why? Hold on just a second. I've got issues. Oh my goodness. I have issues because I didn't cut my paper correctly. So hold on just a quick second because I need to see if I have another sheet of that paper. I didn't cut the rest of my paper correctly, and I don't know that I have another piece. I think maybe I do. Nope. Well, that was the pretty, and I cut it. I just didn't cut it to 3.5. What did I cut it to? See the pretty paper, when you cut your pretty paper wrong, I cut it to 3.25 instead of 3.5. That explains a lot. So I'm going to make some adjustments because I don't want to go get a whole other piece Well, I think I know what I'm going to do. We'll mix things up a little bit more. This is what you do when you make errors and you have to improvise. We'll get there. I've got a plan. My base page. You're going to start with your base page. This up here, this is another scrap of paper. Probably what happened is I cut the piece of paper I wasn't supposed to cut. So here we go, my base page. You need to start off by putting the bars in place. If you're going to follow the directions that I list below the sketch itself, you're gonna wanna put your 1-inch bars. These bars can be done however you want to do them. They could be a chain border, they could be designer paper, they could be pretty much anything you want to do. I just give you the measurements. So I do need to cut mine. Mine are cut from this pretty paper. The back side is that minty color, but it has more of a grid pattern to it. I didn't want to use the mints with the polka dots, so I'm going to have to go ahead and do this. I need 3 1-inch squares. 3 1-inch strips. 1-inch strips. I think the improvisation is going to be fine. I'm just going to have to, it's going to work. But I need 3 of these. I will be using the minty side. All right, so I'm going to get these put in place. The first one I want to center at the 6 inches. So it's going to coming over from the left side. I'm going to place it at 5.5. So it's going to go right across the center, and I will go ahead and put that in place. I can use regular adhesive. You will want to make sure your paper is centered on your mat. We're going to be using the mat to help us line things up. So make sure your paper's centered. If you want to use a little bit of repositionable adhesive, you can do that, and that will allow you to keep everything nice and secure on here. Use repo adhesive on the back side of your base page. So I put the center one in. Now, the outside ones, I want to come in 1.5 inches from the outside edge, and I want that to be my right edge of my right piece, and it's going to be the left edge of my left piece. I basically want to have 1.5 inches of my background paper showing through here, and then I should have about 3 inches here in the middle on each of these segments. I think the only part that bums me out about that, cutting that piece of paper wrong, was that is just such a pretty paper in there, and now I've got these smaller pieces. I'll find something to make it work, but it's just a little bit of a bummer that I cut them wrong. So I am lining these up at that 1.5 inches from the outside edge. I have a full 1.5 inches on either side. Now I just put my borders that I created at the top and the bottom. The borders are a little bit bigger. I think the sketch, they have it being closer to maybe just 5/8 of an inch. So I am a full like 1/2 inch taller top to bottom, or that this is almost double, 1/2 inch bigger than it needs to be per the sketch. But remember, sketches are, you make it work for you. So it's going to work out just fine. There's the top, or the bottom, excuse me, and here's the one I'm going to put on the top. I'm going to rotate my mat so I can see the top edge. Lets me get it lined up nice and straight. There we go. So you can see I have both base pages ready to go. And the reason I didn't adhere any photos over here is because I wanted to put these all together on there as one cohesive thing. If I were to follow the sketch, I could have either kind of like my photos going down and then the second page would be going up, or my second page would be over here where they'd be coming up and then kind of going down. So I wanted to mix things up a little bit, so that's why I didn't put anything on there. It actually is going to work out really well because what I'm going to need to do is cut some mats from this paper. So I need to cut 3.5 inch squares. So I'm going to cut this at 3.5 inches wide. And I'm going to come back in. I love my little personal, the photo trimmer so much. And it's not just a photo trimmer, it trims paper. I'm going to come in here and cut these to 3.5 inch squares. And I need 3 of them. And I think this is going to work out fine simply because it is a darker color. So I'll be able to balance it throughout. I do still need to trim another color of paper. I need 3 more mats. And I think I'm going to start spreading some stuff out because I need to make sure I had used the Vista Blue Shimmer as kind of my second matte paper. And I want to make sure I can still use that Vista Blue, that I'm okay with having, you know, like 3 dark, 3 light, and then 6 mediums. So that's what I'm going to end up with. And here I'm just mostly trying to get spacing. I may have to come in with a third color because I just don't know that I feel like I can get the spacing. It's going to be just too much. Because then I'm still going to end up with the medium blue over, or the like the medium blue next to each other. I just don't want that. So I need a third color, and I probably could just come in with a rusty color. I don't really have that in a lot of places on here. And so I just have it in the little circle dots. Now, one option would be I could come in, and if I was forward thinking, I would be able to come in, I could actually cut these as circles if I felt like I wanted to carry that rusty circle up into my layout. So I'd have a blend of circles and squares. I'm not going to because I've already got all my photos cut as squares, and I don't want to come back and try to make them work as circles. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trim some of this rust color, and I need it to be 3.5 inches. And I think that'll give me a nice combination of colors. I could have used the mint. I could also use the brown. I could have come in, I could have done brown, but that's still kind of dark. This rusty red color is a little bit more medium tone, in my opinion. I would say it's more of a medium. So, and I have it. I don't think I have enough of the brown to cut. Yeah, the dark blue stars paper is going to look, it is looking pretty good in there. No complaints. I think that's a nice touch. So yes, sometimes improvisation is what is needed. It works out just fine. It's a scrapbook page. It's a page done, right? That's what I'm going for, a page done. So I need 3 of these, and that's going to give me a total of 12. I have 4 different colors. And I'm covering the light to dark with a couple of midtones. Well, what have I got going on here? 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, 1, 2. Oh, so I'm like looking at this as if like, wait a minute, the count's off somewhere. So at that point, then it kind of just turns into getting things where you want them to go. Now, I could come across here and I could just be very straight. They give obviously the option to showing what it would look like if you stagger. It does look kind of nice, just being very straight across, an option. It's a little, maybe not the vibe I wanted to go for. I will tell you, I do have a little title made that I need to squeeze in here somehow. So like if I would come in here, this would maybe sit up at the top. Um, I can make more of that because I can make more of those bars if I wanted to be able to come in with more spaces to be able to do a little bit of journaling. But I think, yeah, Jenny's over there like staggered is way, way more fun. It is way more fun. So now I'm just looking at how I want to do that. And if I want to be able to bring in a little bit, another like spot for the title, which I kind of would like to be maybe down over here if I want them spaced. I'm going to cut this. This needs to be trimmed to 3.5 inches wide if I want to use it. I'm not 100% sold on using it. I just feel like it does shift. A lot of these pictures do kind of need their own little caption. I will probably, in the past, I've always used the write-on stickers, you know, the little strips, and I could still probably do that. I come in here and use these little strips and just do little captions. So it kind of gives some context to the photos. And it's usually just quick little snippets. I'm never worried about having too much detailed journaling in here. It's just a little bit more of my preference. And maybe, I don't know, these strips are causing issues for me. I feel like I had it balanced before and I don't have it balanced now. And it just may end up being where it is. I think it's going to be okay. It sits up there like that. I could still have a small piece that sits over here. I just don't like it next to that one. But then let's do this. Well, then it's going to be next to that one. Whatever. Starts to be where my nitpicky starts to come in, where little things will kind of drive me nuts. And I have to recognize they just drive me nuts. They're not going to drive anybody else nuts. That I can do this page and have it be all hunky dory and nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to look at it and say, Megan, it's unbalanced. It's fine. It is literally going to be just fine. I have some other room in here if I want to add in some other embellishments out of the noteworthy collection. I can pick through some of that and see what there is. But now it's just a matter of kind of like adding in my photos. I have to email or I always text my big kids and I'm like, hey, can you send me, you know, I need a couple photos. And I swear to goodness, I don't know why I spent so much money getting them decent cameras to take good pictures, because they're some of the worst pictures ever. Like they send me like, why is this picture blurry? Why are you making a crazy, you know, face in this photo? My son, bless his heart, my oldest. What is this? Like, what kind of photo is that? Do you get photos like that from your kids? Like I asked him, can you take a normal selfie? So we have to have a little discussion about the photos that I get sent, because some of them, like, oh my goodness, child, you need help. But he did send me a photo of this. Do you know what that is? That is a snickerdoodle with lemon ice cream in the middle. I'm not quite sure about the cinnamon and the lemon, but I am just saying that I really would have liked the opportunity to test that, and I couldn't because it's in Washington. My son works at the creamery for the University of Washington, or excuse me, Washington State University. They have cows and they do milk and they make cheese and dairy and all sorts of delightful stuff. So he was telling me about their lemon ice cream, and it looked delicious. And then, of course, the Friday before Easter, this is what my husband had to drive through to fetch our middle child from Flagstaff. So he took a picture and sent that to me. And yeah, that the kiddo is lucky that they got to come home, because I would have saw that, turned around and said, enjoy yourself this weekend. But here we go. Kind of what we're ended up with. I do have some space over here if I want to do anything with that. I of course could just remove it, and I think it's fine too. If I don't know what I want to do for journaling, I feel it's redundant to like put 2025, and so forth. I see Vicky asking if that's a picture of my son day drinking. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It could be. So he could have been, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of early in the day to be, I think, day drinking for him. But yeah, my son is a wine and beverage business management major. So he does like to say that he's a connoisseur of various beverages, but only beverages that he can afford. So probably not the finest wine and spirits out there. But here we go. This is kind of where we're going with this whole kit and caboodle. I'll get the rest of it figured out. I'm going to see what I add in some different embellishments. I do need to go in and do the little bit of journaling detail on some of these. I don't know that every single thing is going to get here. Some of the stuff is pretty obvious. Like I want to explain that this is lemon ice cream with the snickerdoodle, but I don't think I need to explain that there's the kids with the Easter baskets. Over here, maybe I want to say this is Cancun, Mexico, and here's my brother's 49th birthday. Those little things. So not every one of these will have a caption, and I think that's okay. Sometimes the photos are truly self-explanatory. Other times they just need that little bit of extra so that you can remember down the road, why were we like, where does this picture taken at? And we can say it was at the GCU NAU lacrosse game. So that is where I'm headed for April's layout. And definitely a lot of fun to put together. Hopefully you have a chance to try out the border that I put together here. But if you don't particularly have, if you don't have those exact BMCs, that the sandwiching technique with those kind of those feeder strips, that would be able to help you weave all sorts of more delicate, you could weave ornaments probably through something like, well, I don't know if you can get ornaments through. You definitely have to play around with it a little bit. Like, I'm not sure if I can get ornaments through Candy Stripe because I can't remember how tall ornaments is. But it's that kind of stuff where you can kind of play around with it. Some of our narrower pieces, you could definitely, the narrower borders, narrow laser cut borders. Stickers would be hard to do unless you use the de-sticking tool, the powder, anti-stick powder. You could use that to kind of make the stickers not be tacky anymore, and then feed those through the exact same way. You just want to make sure you get all of that adhesive kind of like deadened on the back of those stickers before the border stickers before you try to weave them through, because you need to make sure that any of that pilot paper comes through okay. All right. Yes, today is Kristen's birthday, so happy birthday to Kristen. I'm so glad you could join. And Gloria's asking if she doesn't have Ancient Key, are there any other ones that would work that has more of the square look? Or would work with the squares. So you can kind of play around with it. The spacing of Ancient Keys works really well with the squares because of the way they line up. So Ancient Key is actually kind of one of our ones that has the weaving effect to it, but kind of has that repetitive pattern in a way that I don't know if that doesn't really make sense because you think they all kind of repeat, but just the way Ancient Key lines up, it does really well. Works with the punches that kind of feel like they have a two pattern to them. That's why Ancient Key works really well. But if you don't have Ancient Key, you can just try playing around with it, and you can just try giving the weaving technique a shot with any of them. So you could use Candy Stripe, you could try Picket Fence. Picket Fence takes a 5/8 inch, so that would definitely work with the square link. So you can just try weaving things in there and just see how it looks. You just never know. And alternate your weaving patterns, especially if you're using something like picket fence or you're going to use something like candy stripe. Zebra chain can also weave. I've seen all sorts of things that you can weave. Just making sure you're using a narrow border punch. So anything that's going to be like half an inch smaller, definitely smaller than 5/8 of an inch. You got to be able to get it woven through, but just kind of play around with it a little bit. All right. So yes, Rosalie, thank you. It's a simple sketch, but it's very versatile. It's a great one from Creative Memories. Remember, this came from their the sketches that they were doing. We have probably, I don't know if they're going to have actual sketches for tomorrow for virtual crop, for National Scrapbook Day or what they've got planned, but make sure you're paying. If you're not subscribed to the Creative Memories blog, you're going to want to subscribe to the blog so you get those emails to your inbox. And then if you're on Facebook, but you're not in the virtual crop group, you're going to want to go join that group so you can see all of the fun stuff that's going to be coming tomorrow. All right, so that's what I've got for you guys today. Just a quick reminder, Monday there is a product launch. It is the Relax into Summer. I was like, oh my gosh, what's the name of it? I wanted to say like Fall into Summer, but that was not in it. Relax into Summer collection is coming on Monday along with the American, there's a new USA Patriotic collection. I can't remember the name of that one right now. And they did extend the Last Chance paper promo. So if you spend $120 in the Last Chance paper portion of the website, so these are a lot of older packs, some older card stocks in there. They extended that promotion. You do get a really nice water bottle bag. It's insulated. It's going to carry your water bottle, your phone, a small wallet, or some credit cards in there. But if you spend $120, this is US, you get that bag for free. So the digital collection, I'm being asked, the digital collection, if you enjoy Creative Memories digital collections, all of them are available to purchase right now. You can get them, you can download them, you can use as part of your digital scrapbooking efforts, that kind of fun stuff. Yes, all of these collections were available at some point in the past. So if you're looking in there, you're like, oh my gosh, what is this beautiful electric summer collection? How do I get that? Well, that was from like 2018, 19, somewhere in there. So that paper pack is long retired. But you can go back and get some of those as digital items. It can be fun if you are a person who likes to print and cut your own embellishments. If you have a cutting machine, you can do that with Creative Memories digital items. I know there's some people out there who do have wide format printers and they have had success printing their own paper. So the digital collections from Creative Memories can be great to do that. But there is... Jenny is out there helping me out. It's All American Blast is the name of the Patriotic collection coming out on Monday. But if you do like to, have those digital collections, it's great if you do digital pages. If you also do like to do the digital custom pages from Creative Memories or our custom albums, the cover sets, it's available in May. It's only going to be available in May. The next time it will be open, that the designer itself will be open for you to create these projects, will be in November. So right now, through the month of May, you can get digital collections. They're supposed to be all available. You can go ahead and get those if there's any that you're missing or that you really loved and you'd love to be able to have the digital versions of those collections. You can go and grab those. If you want to make custom albums, you can certainly make album covers and custom album pages. So those are that designer is available through the Creative Memories website. So Maggie's asking if they've been shown anywhere. The Relax into Summer papers, yes, if you go to my Facebook page, I've shown the entire set for the All American Blast and Relax into Summer is on my Facebook page. And then if you scroll the first comment on there, you'll actually be able to click that comment and you can go to the Creative Memories preview page to see everything up close. There is also a new card kit coming out on Monday as well, so that would be lovely. Quick update though, Secret Box number 1 and Secret Box number 2 will be available on Friday. Friday, like a week from today, they're supposed to be available. So if you're thinking, oh, but I want I want Relax into Summer, but I also want to order the virtual box, the secret box, you probably would just need to wait until the end of the week, next week on Friday. Just hold your order and you can get all those items on Friday next week. The only promotion that should be ending between now and then is going to be that last chance paper promo, which I think they said, I think that one's supposed to end before Friday next week. So it's extended by a few days to get you through the initial launch, but probably not clear until the secret boxes come out. It will be secret box number 1 you'll have a chance to get, and secret box number 2. So if you didn't get either one, or if you said, I need more of this, this will be a good chance to get those. All right, that's all I've got for you guys today. Power Hour is in a couple more weeks. It's on the 13th. So we'll definitely plan to see you then. And then Tessa and I will be getting ready to launch registration for our Summer Scrap Challenge. That's going to begin in June, goes the month of June and July, and is a really fun event. We just have you inspired and working even when you're really just wanting to be outside and gardening and enjoying the outdoors. We'll give you some fun inspiration to make sure you keep progressing on those projects you've got going. All right. Take care. I will have this. If you joined late and your questions about how do I make the border, how do I do this, it's all going to end up on YouTube. That should be coming out a little bit later this afternoon. Take care, and I'll see you all soon.